We needed to get out of Mexico.
That shit sound crazy.
Some people love the light. Then again, there are some that revel in the darkness. The band Curse the Sunlight brings the darkness, but with a slight touch of fun. We were lucky enough to get introduced to Curse the Sunlight by our friend Kate. And we were lucky enough to get him to sit down with us while we dropped through LA.
You said that you were nervous, and I think you should be. But by the way, I'm RJ from Taste of Noise.
RJ?
I wanted to introduce you guys. Just met you, dear friend Kate. Hey Kate, love you.
Say hi.
But this is Curse the Sunlight, and this is Harley and Jason, lead guitarist, lead singer. So, how long have you been banned? You had a little discussion about that earlier, discrepancy, I guess.
There is a discrepancy, but I'll let the founder decide that.
I believe it officially started in July last year. That's when we.
Yeah. So
For me, it's the drummer that kind of I need to not to be I don't even know what the words to say, but
back in July, so I'll start with when I met him because I think that makes a little bit more sense.
Okay.
I met him back in March. I was somewhere in Culver City, just bored looking at apartments and doing responsible adult things, and decided to look for other. What else does Craigslist have to offer? Right?
Random encounters?
Yes, random encounters. So that encounter was the post of something like horror punk band looking for vocalist. So like, okay, I was familiar very briefly with like the Misfits was it, I think. Misfits, Christian Death, the Cramps at the time. And his post was honestly pretty compelling because if anyone knows Craigslist posts, it's all, especially for bands, it can be like, all caps or just a guy who really needed to vent. But I thought it was a picture of him in makeup, which was really cool. He had who is this person?
You knew the aesthetic of the band immediately.
The aesthetic was incredibly awesome, and the post mentioned Misfits, Cramps, Tiger Army, because he really likes Nick 13 and all that.
AFI.
Yeah, AFI is one of his biggest influences. I would say, right, for you.
I early 2000s vibe.
I knew nothing about stuff like that before beforehand.
what were you into before?
I was a metalhead, like super death metal, like Cannibal Corpse, Repulsion. Like I was super into old school death metal. But also everything else. Iron Maiden was a big influence on me as far as singing goes. I love Bruce Dickinson.
That's so hard.
Dude, Bruce Dickinson, Freddie Mercury. I like my theatric singers.
That's the way it is.
And for both of us who have never been in a band before, it's a really good experience just to get to know the type of personalities who are in bands and want to be in bands and how serious
You've never
they're
been in a
about it.
band before?
Neither of us, no.
I have never been in a band.
Neither of us have been in a band.
So what made y'all make the final step to be like, look, I gotta be in a band. I have to let this out.
So it's something happened in my life, and I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna start a band. I've always wanted to start a band, and I just started hitting people up on just Facebook, and I started posting on Craigslist to see who would, just kind of bite the bait.
Taking it.
Melody first person or a word first person?
Typically word first, but it's more important, I think, to be melody first. Now that we've written enough songs together, I think it's important to be melody first, not words first.
Okay.
It's important to respond to, the guitar is not responding to you with words, it's responding to you with notes. And so it's important to respond back in that language before I put it into words.
Now, I definitely see y'all in the lineage of like the so-called punk diaspora, basically. I definitely see y'all in that whole arena. How does it feel to be a part of that and like enter into something that has like such a long tradition?
So we're not part of it. This is what makes this interview so interesting, is like we kind of feel like we're a part of it, but not really, because you all are the first strangers to really give us like a true reaction. But I'm interested to see how we fit into that, because his friends, I mean, he's friends with this awesome band called The Rails, who's straight, like, they're straight punk. You know exactly what they are. When you listen to more of our songs, you can kind of hear metal influence a little bit. I bring a lot of dramatic, theatric kind of powerhouse vocals to things. A little bit of, like, depending on the song too, something a little more playful and bratty along the lines of Distillers. And so I kind of try to mix my tone to,
Well, that's good that you're able to communicate that in that way. Like, as far as like what you wanted from her as a singer, what were you trying to communicate? Like, basically, like what songs did you use, for example?
For specifically?
Yeah.
I remember, so he always sent me a lot of stuff off Art of Drowning.
Yeah, that's fun. And Blitzkid too.
Blitzkid.
And she was already familiar with Michael Graves' material with the Misfits, and it just kind of all blended together. That's how that song came about, Witch Bottle.
Through what? I'm interested too, actually, how you came up with that riff, because I don't think I know.
I think we need a popular kind of, because some of the stuff that I had in my mind was a little bit more aggressive, more darker. So I wanted to just kind of mix it up and just kind of bring out more of a popular kind of song out. And that's how I brought that one out. And basically, Witch Bottle is kind of, we both kind of wrote it as we went along. Just even, Yeah.
What would you want to open for? It was like the first band that comes to
That's a
mind.
good one. I'm sorry.
Because I know who I would want, but I want you to go first.
Well, if I was ever to open for a band that I admire, it would probably be Blitzkid.
Everyone who's watching this has to just fucking open a new tab right now and go look up one Blitzkid song, because
it's a fucking damn shame that they're not bigger than they are.
It is maybe one of the strongest things I feel right now.
Okay.
They're an entirely underrated horror punk band.
Yes.
They're the epitome of what horror punk is. And they have two dudes who sing beautifully. Like,
yes.
Usually guys with unique voices are super heralded. I'm really surprised that...
So, what do you want to fit on the whole horror punk, like, line? lineage?
That's a good question.
I haven't thought about that. I haven't thought about that.
You mean I don't think the question is lineage. I think the question would be of sound, because even Misfits goes outside the realm of horror punk for me. When you start singing, when you have songs like Bullet that go into like political, and even them, like Blitzkid stays completely within almost like the gothic horror realm. Like I kind of think about them more of their vibe is much more like Victorian and romantic. Like when I think of Blitzkid, I think of Mary Shelley. I think Mary Shelley would have fucking loved that band. I absolutely think she would have loved it.
Well, I do want to ask about talk about the wine a little bit. The reason why we picked the particular wine for you. All right, so we went to this winery we leave, but they had this really unusual Pinot Noir and Malbec combination that really doesn't usually go together, and it's especially considering it's a hotter climate. That usually the kind of grapes that are grown there,
Right.
and combined, and then made into a rosé. So we thought that the uniqueness of this particular wine fit what you did as a band.
Like you don't expect it, but it's good anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Relieve. We will have.
That's pretty cool knowledge.
I love
actually.
that. That's really thoughtful.